We will be starting the sheep show in 7 minutes. Please start lining up the first class of feeders. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for showing up for today's sheep show. To get things rolling, I'd like to introduce our judge today. We've got Nate Schofield from Lanesburg, Michigan, where he is the co-owner of Scoville Brothers Livestock. He earned his degree in agribusiness from Michigan State University and was a member of the 2022 Michigan State Livestock Judging Team. Nate currently works as a hog procurement specialist for Clemens Food Group in Coldwater, Michigan. And in addition to his professional career, he remains actively involved in the livestock industry through his family operation and has judged numerous livestock shows across the country. Let's give him a big round of applause and a welcome. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and now in the ring, we're going to go ahead and get started with our feeder class number 1. We have 3 participants. So we've got Riley Scribb from Valley View FFA, Addison Rush from Hearts in Action, and Lila Pishka, is that how you say it? Yeah. From Napa FFA. And then let's go ahead and get class number 2, Blackface Cross. We have 13, so if you can be on deck and ready to come in after this class, we've got Bentley Anderson, Austin Rush, Madison Adams, Braden Smith, Ford Squishlow, Zoritha Zeal. Ford Squishlow has a second lamb. Brennan Williams, Naya Brainerd, Oakley Heathwicker, Abigail Johansson, Gracie Height, and then Avi Woolley. So if you guys could all be on deck and ready for the next class, which will be Blackface Class 2.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you guys for having me out here today. We'll try to get through these lambs efficiently out here, and I think this first class kind of paints a good picture of what I'm going to be looking for today. The young lady brings out a really nice ewe lamb. I think she balances up super well from the side, has enough power and shape for me as well, but that silhouette is the reason she takes the cake on this class. The one that comes out next, the young lady's weather, I think this dude has some shape, has a lot of potential, just gets a little undersized when you compare it to that ewe lamb, and I'll be honest, I think it's just a maturity pattern as those ewes are going to mature a little faster. Get this guy a few pounds heavier, I think he can rival that ewe lamb because he is good built from the side. One that gets around the ring pretty efficiently. He just runs out of steam and power. We'll round off the class with the young lady's weather here. I think this one's good built. I think it has some potential down the road. Just today, there's not enough sheep here to be able to compete with the other two. A really nice first class. Let's give them all a big round of applause.
Results of Class 1. First place was Addison Rush, Hearts in Action. Second place, we had Lila Pishka, Napa FFA, and then in third place, Riley Scribb. Let's give them a big round of applause again.
Now in the ring, we have Class 2 Blackface Cross. That's it.
Okay, so now in the ring, we've got Blackface Cross, class number 2.
Well, I absolutely love the two that start off this class. The young lady brings out a really cool weather. I think looks just as good propped up as it does in motion. I think this one ties high out of the top of its shoulder there, dead level in that one's spine. I like how shoved up this one's chest floor gets into the bottom of its chest cavity there. Balanced look from the side. You get your hands on this one. This one's the hardest handling one in the class. It's the biggest and squarest on its back through his upper hip and down through his stifle. Now, don't take nothing away from this young lady's ewe lamb. I think she is a wild good breeding piece. That center rib is absolutely massive. With that being said, I think that rib just gets a little too massive because when you get back to her pin set, she's not as opened up in her pin set for as wide and as opened up as her rib shape is, which kind of throws off her balance from this three-quarter view just a little bit for me today. With that being said, if we put her in a breeding ewe class, she gets very high on my list because I think this one is very well built from the side. Young lady does a great job getting this one propped up. She does a good job getting this one propped up from the side. If we're going to rival this one with that weather that wins, I got to stouten her up at the ground, open her up in her pin set, open her up in her upper hip just a little bit more. The two that come out next are very similar in their type and kinds. One's that balance good enough from the side for me, but when you get off to this three-quarter view, I think they are super square, super opened up. For me, the difference gets made today. I think the young lady gets this one propped up just a little better for me, gets that chest floor up and out of it just a little bit more often for me today, as well as this one's bolder about its rib shape, better about its loin edge just a little bit there. Young man's weather that comes out next. One that wants to get a little deeper and lower fronted for me today is it gets more parallel about its underline there. I think this one's chock full of muscle and power. I just want to fix that one's front end just a shot more. That's where the difference gets made between fourth and fifth here. I do think the one that comes out in fifth is a shot better in its front end, a shot shorter in its blade. We're just running out of steam. There's not enough power or muscle in this one to get him up any higher in class, but a really nice top five. Everyone over here, you guys did a good job getting these animals shown. We got some that are pushing a little condition on these ewes, some that just don't have the mass or power that these top five do. Let's give them all a big round of applause.
Okay, so Blackface Cross class number 2. First place went to Madison Adams with Bad Company. And in second place, Oakley Heathwrecker, Saddle Tramps 4-H Club. Congratulations. In the ring now, we have class number 3 with the weights of 120 to 125.
another nice class out here. And I think the one that starts this class ends up being the combination sheep that offers the most in terms of muscle and power, matched with the best skeleton in class. One that stays dead level when you put him in motion. Young lady does an outstanding job of getting this dude propped up as he gives you a real good look from the side. I think a really nice complete piece to start off this class. Young lady's Ewe-Lamb that comes out next. I think she is really, really good from the side. I think she's wild in terms of her rib shape. I think her lower leg and stifle shape, it's also really, really good about her. It's just when we get her out in motion, that one wants to get outside of herself a little bit, wants to hawk in just a little bit as well. If we can fix the way those rear wheels work in motion, I think she rivals the one that wins this class pretty well because she's got enough muscle for me and she looks good from the side. I just need her in motion moving just a little bit better for me today. The one that separates itself out into third here, one that I think touches really, really good. I love the hide quality on this dude. I think he is square back. I think he progressively gets wider from his shoulder all the way back to his hip. It's just when we get this dude in motion, he wants to roll off that hip too much for me today. Gets too tight in its spine between his rib-loin junction there. One that gets his hind legs too far up underneath him. With that being said, he's got a ton of massive power. We just got to rearrange that skeleton just a little more for me today. The two that round off this class are kind of similar in type and kind. I give the nod to the weather. It does come with a square, bigger back that handles harder and fresher for me today. One that I think just needs a shot more hip and a shot better look from the side. Pick him up in his chest floor just a little bit more. Rotate that neck set more to the top side of his skeleton to be able to compete with the ones ahead of him there. But a really nice weather from a muscle and product standpoint. The one that rounds off this class, another one I think hits the grid from a muscle standpoint for me today. This one just gets too moderate framed for me, gets too unorganized in his skeleton as we put him in motion. We'll keep him fifth. The ones that are also in this class, ones that just kind of run out of steam for me today. My first sort out here is always going to be muscle, and you got to have muscle out here in the top five. Once I deem you having enough muscle out here, we're going to sort based on build and structure, and that's how I'll make my final decision. We just need to have a little bit more power in these guys to get them up any higher. Let's give them all a really big round of applause. A really nice class.
Okay, so class number 3, class winners, first place.
Thank you.
We have Macklin Dreyer, Sunny Ridge 4-H, and in second place, Brindle Rush, Hearts in Action. Congratulations. So those top 2 kids will come back for the division runoff. Now we're on to class 4, Blackface Cross. This class is 126 pounds to 133.
I think you can go back and forth on this top pair, kind of either way, depending on how you got your priorities lined up. For me today, I think they both have enough muscle to get in the top end of this class. So after that, like I said, I'm going to sort it on build. I think we got more reach and flexibility out of the hip and hind leg, out of the one that wins. I think this one ties into its shoulder just a shot better as well. When you put them in motion, that one keeps its chest floor just a little bit more tucked up underneath it. With that being said, I think he balances super well from the side, has enough shape and power for me today. The one that comes out next is definitely what I'd consider the carcass slam of the class. This dude is chock full of muscle and power. The biggest squarest back shape we've had yet today. Awesome rib shape on him. One that's massive in his upper hip. Love the turn to his outer stifle there. With that being said, we put this one in motion. This one gets too choppy as he gets going across the ring. One that doesn't get enough flex out of his hip and his hind leg there. Too stiff in those rear passages for me today. As we get that one in motion, he wants to drive downhill with his chest floor just a shot more. If we could make that skeleton balance out a little bit more in motion, I think he takes this class pretty quickly in my mind. A very close top pair. The one that comes out here next has the opposite issue. I think this one runs out of steam compared to the ones ahead of him, but with that, gets a little more lazy in his structural integrity. One that I like when he's propped up. I think he has the right angle to his hock and his pastern when he's propped up here. One that's good enough about his chest floor, but when we get him in motion, that hip wants to roll way too much for me, as I feel like he's getting his hind legs way too far up underneath him. I think his front skeleton gets out and moves pretty easily and flows when he gets across. That hind skeleton just isn't good enough for me today, isn't strong enough for me out here. The one that comes out next, one that I like that center body, that lower rib shape, that turn to that lower rib, that swoop to that underline is really, really good about this guy. With that being said, I think when we get this one in motion, he gets too tight in his spine. One that you get off of this three-quarter view, he does not have enough of that lower leg, outer stifle shape for him to be able to compete with the ones ahead of him, but that center body is really, really cool. And the one we'll round off this top five with, one that has shape and expression. I love the back shape. I like this one's hip-loin transition. This one just didn't give me the best look out here as he kept wanting to pull away, dropping his chest floor too much for me out here, getting too straight in his hind leg, too short in his upper hip there. If we could rearrange his skeleton a little bit, maybe a little bit more cooperation out of the lamb, he might make it up a little higher in this class. The ones that come out over here, again, a few that just end up running out of steam for me today. I think there's a couple that are flexible, actually have a little bit more hawk movement than a couple of them that I talked about up here. With that being said, we just got to have more mass and power for these ones to be able to work up higher in the class. Let's give them all a really big round of applause. A really nice class.
Okay, so the results of the class number 4 Blackface Cross. First place went to Charity Kent, Bad Company. Second place went to Sophia. Sophia Bedia of Middleton FFA. Both of you young ladies will be coming back for the division runoff. Congratulations. Next, we have class number 5 with the weight range of 135 to 138.
I absolutely love these two that top off our class here. Young lady brings out a really, really cool one, super white featured, which I'm super attracted to. I think that just looks super cool on a lamb. With that being said, I think this one's skeleton is top notch. This one propped up from the side is shallow and runs uphill. One that's super long and extended out his front end. You match that with the fact that this is the best touching lamb we've had yet. Rock hard to the back, super square, super firm, one that has enough power and muscle when you get right in on this three-quarter view. A very complete lamb, a very fun one to be able to sort today. The one that comes out here next, equally as fun. I think this one, propped up, the young man absolutely sticks this one. I think propped up, this one has a good chest floor in it, has a long enough neck that attaches at the top of its shoulder. But what's super cool about this one is when you get right off to the side, you can see that lower cheek popping out from under his leg there. I think that is just a super cool feature of one like this. With that being said, I get disappointed when I go to handle this one. Wants to handle just a shot softer for me today, a little more nondescript in its muscle shape, especially as you get up over that upper hip there. I want that to handle just a bit firmer for me today, as well as when we get this one put in motion, this one wants to start to run downhill, as this one gets a little stiffer off either end of its skeleton when it's walking around the ring. The one that comes out here next, a really nice one that as soon as it walked in, I said, hey, there's that one, and then the other two walked in, and it would have won the class if those other two weren't here. I think this one's super square back. Love the lower rib shape on this one. For this one to be able to compete with those other two, you get off this three-quarter view, I need to have some more lower leg shape, some more turn to his outer stifle, and open up this one's upper hip just a little bit more. But I think a really cool one that balances when it moves, neck ties in right at the top of his skeleton, has got enough muscle for me today. The one that comes out next, one that just gets a little more common in its build for me today. I think this one has a square back shape. I like the lower rib shape on this one. It's, again, one that runs out of steam compared to the rest of them in class. It's more nondescript in its muscle pattern. One that gets a little more common, rounds off either end of its skeleton, just a little too much for me today when you compare it to the ones ahead of it. The young lady brings out a really nice ewe lamb out here, one that I think is flexible and gets across the ring real well, one that I just got to rearrange her skeleton, give her a shot more power when you step in right behind her there. The ones that come out here next, ones that I think has some carcass merit to them, ones that are to the right point in their lifespans here. We just don't have those added show qualities that the ones up here do. Let's give them all a really big round of applause. Another really nice class, top two that are really cool.
Okay, so results for Blackface Cross class number 5, Kennedy Ashfield, CUNA FFA, first place. Second place went to Tice Fisher, Homedale FFA. Congratulations. So now we have Blackface Cross class number 6 with the weight range of 140 to 149.
I think there's one you got to land on in this class. Kind of the lighter featured one, a lighter hided one there. I think this one is super powerful, super square, super hard to the touch. One that's massive in its upper hip, massive in its stifle shape. One that balances good enough from the side for me today. I wish I could stouten this one up at the ground a little bit more. But with that being said, there's nothing to take away from that one's muscle, power, masculinity. That one from the side looks very, very good. I'll follow it up with the one I think looks the next best from the side, has enough power in my mind. I think this one balances super well, is level through his hip, one that gets around the ring and moves and flows as he gets across the ring, and that's what really pieces it together into second for me today, because it's not the most powerful one out here. Wants to get just a little soft to the handle, and I think that's where the biggest difference is between first and second for me. We just got to harden this one up, make this one a little more defined in its muscle shape. With that being said, the one that comes out here in third is the one that is the upgrade in muscle and power and mass. This one handles rock hard in my mind. I just wish this one looked a little bit better from the sides. We're getting too parallel in our lines. That one's underline isn't as dynamic as what I'd like to see. I need that chest floor picked up into it just a little more. I need that neck rotated up to the top of its skeleton rather than coming more out of the front of its skeleton. Make this one just a little more fluid when you get it in motion, as this one takes a shorter stride than what I'm comfortable with today. Ulam that comes out next, I think this one balances super well from the side. I'm happy with this one's underlying balance as you get off on that profile view. When you get off to the three-quarter view, though, this one wants to just get a little too round for me today. More nondescript in its muscle pattern, one that I just need to freshen up, pick up in that back shape just a little bit more as well. You will round off the top five with. I think this one looks really good from the side. One that when you get handling that one, I love the super thin hide on that one. We're just a little past our prime on this one. We're handling too soft for me today. We're not getting that progression of width. We're wider at our shoulders than we are in our hip. There's not enough lower leg muscle for me today. But off to the side and to the touch, this one's really, really nice. I love the high quality. The young man's put in a lot of work on that. As we get down further in line here, again, some that have some that are just not as powerful as what I need for today. I think this Ulam might be the outlier. This one, we just got to fix her spine, honey. We just got to get that one moving just a little bit better, a little easier for me today. Let's give them all a really nice round of applause. Another really good class.
Okay, so results of Blackface Cross class number 6. First place went to Swayze Kelly, Caveman Critters. Second place went to Andrew Jones, Bad Company. Congratulations. So this will be the last class for Blackface Cross, class number 7. Weight range 150 to 181.
Oh, really cool one to start off this class. The heaviest muscle by far in my mind that handles extremely well, extremely square, meets my hand with a ton of spread and dimension over top, carries that width all the way out through his hip, down into his lower leg, gets around the ring good enough for me today, but when this young man gets this one propped up, that's $1 million look right there from the side. The decision for me really comes between the two that come out here next. Because I think you got two that are very similar, two very good built sheep that are very similar in their design. I think they both give you a really unique look from the side. I'm going with the one that handles just a shot better, is rock hard over top, arguably a little bit green. This one is very hard to the touch. One that has just raw power and muscle, extremely lean on this one. But I think this one genuinely has more muscle with the same kind of look as the one that comes out here in third. So for that reason, we're going to get that one up in second. Now, the one that comes out here in third, the clear advantage this one has over me is from the side, this one balances a lot better. This one is deeper about its center body. It makes that chest floor look shallow. One that I love that turn to its lower rib shape as it has more in that center body there. It's just on either other end. This one just runs out of steam for me. It's not as bold in its forearm. One that doesn't open up as square in its upper hip. One that isn't as bold about that stifle shape as you get around on that three-quarter view. But I think this is a very nice one that gets around the ring very smooth and fluid in motion. The ewe-lamb that comes out here next, one that I think balances, again, really well from the side. When this one does get stuck and stays stuck, she gives you a look of quality, one that's level in her hip, good about her hind leg when she gets across the ring. We're just handling a little soft for me today. She's too opened up at the base of her shoulder there, one that doesn't keep that width all the way back through its hip and its pin set. We just got to make this one balance from a top side view there. And the ewe that rounds off this top five, one that handles good enough for me today. We're just getting a little round off either end of her skeleton, deeper in her chest floor, wants to round off her dock there just a little bit. We fix her structurally. I think it gets a little closer between her getting up into fourth and maybe even third. Really nice class. Let's give them all a big round of applause.
Okay, results for Blackface Cross class number 7. In first place, we had Palmer Ashfield and CUNA FFA. And then in second place, we had Ellie Klaus, Farm to Table. Congratulations. Okay, so now we're doing the Blackface Cross Division runoff. So we have all the first and second place in each class.
I think this is an awfully nice blackface cross drive out here. I think we got a few of them that are just real unique, real hard to make type sheep, and that's exactly what I'm looking for out here. I want to find some of the more unique ones. We got to get them enough muscle, and then on top of them having enough muscle is who can put those unique pieces and parts in there that are sought after in the show ring. I think we got a couple out here. I think that one out of that first class is really, really cool from the side. I think this one balances up super well, has a ton of shape and expression and power, a really cool looking one. One out of that second class, massive powerhouse, total body rib shape, one that's super big about its upper hip. One out of that third class there, one that I think just handles super, super fresh, gets her on the ring and balances really, really nice. One out of this fourth class here, I love the white feature on this one. I think this thing's got so many bells and whistles, super tall out of the top of that one shoulder, balances real good from the side and touches absolutely amazingly. Coming out of that next class there, another just ripped up powerhouse sheep, just super hard handling, super square and creasy over the top side of its skeleton there. That one will round off this drive with one that I think just balances up super, super nice, gives you that market lamb look from the side that everyone's trying to chase after right now. Super wide and dimensional in his back shape. I love the hip shape on this one as well. I think we got a couple of out here that could easily fit into grand depending on what you like. I know I got my opinion made up. Let's give them all a really big round of applause for getting them out here. I'll tell you, I'll go get you guys a grand champion. We bring second place out of that class out here, and I think this one has some real unique pieces from a muscle standpoint. Just so wide dimensional, a short little blade on this one, but one one that offers in this drive the most amount of that lower cheek, that unique muscle pattern out here. I think this one fits in really, really well. Let's give it up one more time for all these exhibitors. I'll give you guys a reserve champion.
Okay, so blackface cross division champion went to Kennedy Ashfield of CUNA FFA, and reserve went to Palmer Ashfield CUNA FFA. Congratulations.
And now we have our first class.
And now we'll have our first class of Dorset Class 9, 116 to 129.
Well, we get into the Dorsets out here, and I think the one that starts off this class, this is a pretty unique one as you talk about white-faced sheep. One that's super square over the top side of its skeleton, handles like an absolute dream, handles like a blackface in my mind. One that's massive in terms of its upper hip, has a ton of muscle deep into its lower leg, and when this young lady gets this one propped up, I think this one gives you a really, really nice look from the side of balance and proportionality. Now, honestly, I think the one that comes out here in second looks better when you get them out in motion. It's more level about its spine, is easier in its spine than the one that wins this class. One that I think is stouter at the ground. It's just when you get right up on top of this one gets a little too round in its muscle shape for me today. I need to open this one up in its rib shape and its forerib there, square this one up over top as well, make this one just a little crispier to the handle, but a really, really nice one that I really like when you put it in motion. Now, the one that comes out here, round off this class, I think this one's got a ton of lower rib shape there. I think this one does get propped up really, really nice from the side. I just need more hard power to this one. Open this one up in his forerib again. One, I need to drop some more muscle into his lower leg, stouten him up at the ground, but three really, really nice ones. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Dorset Class 9 results. First place is Emery Fleming of Snake River Livestock. Second place is Janelle Wolf from Snake River Livestock. Congratulations. Now we're on to Dorset Class 10. Weight division is 131 to 143.
A pretty simple sort in my mind out here. Young man just brings out an absolute killer in this class. I think no matter which way you want to spin it, this one wins, and he wins by a mile. This dude's wide back. This one's stout featured. This dude's got a ton of lower cheek shape. The young man gets this one propped up really, really well. I think that is an outstanding looking white face right there. I think the young lady in the blue shirt has one that I think just handles just a little bit better when you compare 2 and 3 here. One that's longer and more extended about its front end. Balances up really well from the side and gets that uphill look when she gets that one stuck, which I absolutely love. A fresh handle over the top side of its skeleton. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the young lady's ewe lamb does offer a little bit of muscle deeper into its leg, offers a deeper center body, makes it look like that chest floor is tucked up just a bit more up underneath it. It's just when you get your hands on this one, she wants to handle just a little bit softer for me, one that has just a shot too much set to her hind leg for me today, but a really, really nice one that balances super well from the side in third. The young man brings out a nice weather out here in fourth. I think rib shape on this one is really, really good. I think this one is wide over the top side of his skeleton. I just need this one a bit more fresher, a bit more genuine shape and muscle to compete with the rest of them in class here. Let's give them all a big round of applause as they exit the ring.
Okay, so results of Dorset Class 10. First place, Tice Fisher, Homedale FFA. Second place, Avery Fleming, Snake River Livestock. Congratulations. Now we're on to Class 11, which is the Dorset Division runoff.
We'll keep this pretty short and sweet out here. I think there's one that's an absolute man among boys out here, and then I think there's a second place that, or a reserve that kind of follows him really, really nicely. I'll show you which ones those are. Let's give them all a big round of applause for a really nice Dorset division.
Okay, so Class 11, the Dorset Division runoff. First place, we had Tice Fisher, Homedale FFA. Reserve went to Avery Fleming, Snake River Livestock. Congratulations. Now we're on to Hampshire Class 12. Weight range 120 to 126. Anaya Carson, we need you in your class. Your class is in the ring.
Another pretty easy meat and potatoes class for me out here. Young ladies, weather just hits all those points I've been talking about today. One that's super square back, really hard to the touch. One that balances really, really well from the side, gives you that show lamb look. I love the added fuzz that this young lady's been able to put on this one as well. I think a really complete one to start this class. I think the ewe lamb that comes out here in second is the one that gives me the next most product and power in a really, really functional package. Super bold about that rib shape. I love that lower rib and that swoop to that center body there. One that just doesn't handle as hard as the one that comes out and wins this class. Isn't as big and opened up in that hip and pin set as the one that wins this class. Young man's ewe lamb that comes out here next, one that I think might actually handle a shot better than the one that comes out ahead of it. It's just when you talk about this one's build and design, one that gets too easy about her spine, one that doesn't track as well as the one ahead of it, one I got to get at a shot more power when you get right off on this three-quarter view. And the young lady brings out a really, really trim, lean handle and weather out here. I love the length and extension of that front end. It's just we don't have enough sheep here to be able to compete. Got to open up that rib shape. Got to get some more weight on this one to be able to compete in this class. Let's give them all a big round of applause.
Results, Hampshire Class 12. First place went to Onina Carson, Valley View 4-H. Second place went to Ryder Larson, Hearts in Action. Congratulations. Now we're on to Hampshire Class 13, 131 to 140.
I think these two are two peas in a pod out here. Ripped up, massive, heavy muscle shape. I absolutely love these two. It solely gets sorted on the move there. The one that comes out in first just floats across the ring. Dead level about its spine, keeps its head up right where it needs to be. It stays dead level through that hip and tracks and hits its stride pretty well in my mind out here. The one that comes out in second might actually be a shot wider in that rib shape. More opened up in that forerib there. Is extremely hard to the touch. One that might want to come in just a little bit more in his pin set when you compare it to the one that wins this class, but the separation again is in motion. This one gets weird about his hip and his hind leg as he gets too high up in that jump muscle, gets those hind legs up and underneath him, as he's got just a shot too much set for me today when compared to the one that wins this class, but a very, very nice weather that's really, really nice. In any other class, he might have actually walked away with it pretty easily. The weather that comes out here next, one that I think has some width and dimension, one that has some muscle and some power. Just talking skeletally on this one, we're getting too low fronted out here. One that wants to get too straight about its hind leg, gets more choppy when you get this one moving across the ring. The one that comes out here next it has some shape actually, might actually be a little more genuine about its top shape than the one just ahead of it there. With that being said, there's not enough overall lamb to compete with the three ahead of it. We got to make this one a shot wider, a shot stouter at the ground as well. The young lady's blue one that comes out next, one that I love the center body and the center rib shape to this one. It's just, we're getting a little more inverted in our shape here. One that's narrow at his shoulders, wide in the middle, gets narrow again at this pin set here. We got to open that pin set up for him to be a little more competitive in this class. The one we'll round off this class with just runs out of steam. One that I think is flexible and uses its joints really well to get around the ring. There's just not enough sheep here. We got to have more muscle, more power for it to move up. Let's give them all a big round of applause.
Okay, so just a reminder, an hour after the show, you need to turn in your no sale form. Okay, so class results of class 13, Addie Cortez first place with Bad Company. Second place was Palmer Affield, CUNA FFA. Now we're on to class 14, Hampshire. Weight range 141 to 151.
You know, I think his look is saying a lot. This is a dirty, dirty dog up here up front. I think this dude is absolutely wild in his look, build, design, amount of power and shape and muscle that he gets into this skeleton is just really, really cool. Just unfortunate he fell off the stand right before he came out here, but with a little bit of dirt won't scare me none. That is a wild, wild animal sitting up front there. Young lady's ewe-lamb that comes out here is a really, really cool shaped one from this three-quarter view. That rib shape is wild wild. Super square over the top, but then super round as you talk about that lower rib shape being so opened up in that forerib there. We just got to get that mass up front to match the back. That one doesn't have enough muscle when you talk about that upper hip shape, isn't wide enough in its pin set, doesn't have near enough stifle to match that massive rib shape when you get up to the front of that one's skeleton. Now that's where this one does have the advantage. This one's wild open up in his hip, has a ton of lower cheek to this one. We're just in a very, very moderate package for me today. So moderate so that this one doesn't get around the ring and track as smooth and efficiently as what I'd like to see, because this one has so much power, mass, and product on it. The one that comes out here next just ends up running out of steam compared to the one that is ahead of it there. I like the added extension, how much space you got between the ground and that one's rib cage. When you compare it to the one ahead of it there, we just need more mass and power to this sheet to be able to let it compete with those top three. Same story can be said about the one that comes out here in fifth. One that I think has enough grow and dimension. I like the length of cannon on this one. I like the length of spine. We just don't have anywhere near as much power, muscle, and shape as the ones ahead of them. If we can mass this one up, he'll get a little more competitive, maybe move up a spot or two. The one that rounds off this class, one that just runs out of bells and whistles for me today. I think an extremely functional market lamb for the young lady. We just don't have the extra bells and whistles that some of these other ones have out here. Let's give them all a really big round of applause for another really nice class.
Okay, so results for Hampshire Class 14. First place goes to Kennedy Ashfield, CUNA FFA. Second place goes to Amberlyn Stanley, Dead End Ranchers. Congratulations. Now we'll be on to class number 15, which is the Hampshire Division Runoff. Okay, so after this drive, we're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break.
Well, I think we got two of them out here that are just wild in terms of their build and the way those builds efficiently put muscle and product onto their skeleton. These young people have done an outstanding job feeding this whole set out here. For me, I think there's two of them that kind of walk away with this division. It's just the question of which way do you want to put them, what order do you put them. I know I got mine made up. Let's hear it all for the Hampshire division. Let's give it up for them.
Okay, so results of the Hampshire Division Runoff. We had first place, Kennedy Ashfield, CUNA FFA, reserve champion, was Addie Cortez of Bad Company. Congratulations. We will now be taking a 5-minute break. Okay, so we're ready to go ahead and get class number 16 underway. So this will be natural colors, ranging in weight of 115 to 119.
Well, we'll start this natty division with one that I think is really, really cool pieced together from the side. One that's dead level about its spine, uses its hip and hind leg really efficiently to get around the ring. When that young lady props him up, he looks like $1,000,000 out here. I think this one has the muscle, mass, and power to match the look from the side. The one that comes out here next, I think matches the one that wins this class in terms of mass and power. I think this one is super hard handling, might even touch a shot better than the one that does win this class. I just want to rearrange his structure just a little bit for me today. One that wants to get too deep about his chest floor, too round in its hip. We just got to square him up off either end. The ewe-lamb that comes out here next, I think this one balances from the side really, really nice when the young lady gets it propped up. I think this one has a ton of rib shape. That forerib is absolutely massive in this class out here. It's just unfortunate when you get off to this three-quarter view out here, we run out of steam. One that isn't as opened up in its pin set, doesn't push enough muscle into its lower leg. I think that's where the one here has the advantage. I think this one is shapelier in its muscle shape, is more opened up in its upper hip. It's just that lower muscle shape is missing out of this one here. I got to have more muscle into his lower leg to be able to match how much shape he has up high. The one that rounds off this class ends up just running out of steam. One that I think is flexible, uses her lower joints really nicely. We just don't have enough sheep here to be able to compete with the rest of them in class. Let's give them all a big round of applause. First class of naturals.
Okay, so results for natural colored class 16. First place goes to Addison Stanford, Parma FFA. Second place, Emma Barton, Bad Company. Congratulations. And now we're on to natural colored class 17. Weight range 121 to 129.
I guess you could ask who runs the world out here, because it's the two ewe-lambs that start off this class, and the young man brings out an absolute queen. This thing is wild back, wild muscled, wild shape. You get this one moving across the ring. This one strikes the pose of every show lamb I'm trying to find out here. Really heavy booted on this one. Gets propped up really, really nice. Love this ewe-lamb to start. The ewe-lamb that comes out here next closely follows in terms of back shape and muscle. One that's wide and dimensional over the top, massive in its upper hip. One that I just need more lower muscle power on this one. Need more muscle into its lower leg. Need to have this one stouter featured. Square this one up in its dock just a shot to get it to be able to compete with a really impressive one that wins. The weather that comes out here next, one that I think has a really cool shape to its rib. One that does progressively gets wider back to its hip. But again, same type of thing as that ewe-lamb. We don't have enough muscle in that lower leg. I need more bulge. I need more bulk as you get back to this rear third back here to match how much power is in that front third there. The one that comes out here next actually is the muscle upgrade from the two ahead of it. With that being said, it comes at detriment to its build. This one wants to get too round off either end of its skeleton, driven by that high and tight spine. We can relax him in his spine a little bit. I think this one moves up one spot, if not even two, if that spine's just right. And the one that rounds off this class, I think we have some rib and some back shape out here. Just skeletally for me, this one gets way too round off its hip, a little longer in its dock. One that I need to clean up its chest floor just a little bit more, but I think a productive market lamb for the young lady. Let's give them all a big round of applause.
Okay, so results of natural colored class 17. First place goes to Sawyer Osterhout, farm to table. Second place goes to Madeline Maccabee, Valley View 4-H. Congratulations. And now coming in is class number 18, natural colored.
Masterpiece of a lamb that we have to start this class. Just hits every point that I've been trying to find today. Crazy good backed, heavy muscled, big booted, one that hits those show ring qualities. Again, a really, really cool spot to start this class. The one that comes out here next, I think this one's really good in its rib shape, massive in its loin, transitions from its loin into its upper hip really, really nicely. One that I want to fix its build just a little bit. We're getting a shot deep in its chest floor there. One that wants to round off at its hip, just a shot too much for me today, but a ton of mass and power. The ewe-lamb that comes out next, big, bold rib shape on this one. Heavy fronted. I think this one has a ton of center body to it. It just doesn't match up when you get to that rear third. We're not big enough in our pin set. We're not fresh enough as we get handling all the way out into that hip. Want to stouten this one up at the ground ground just a shot as well. The weather that comes out here next is the upgrade in handle and freshness. One that's super trim, super lean, one that just runs out of steam. Needs to be bolder in its rib shape. I need to have more muscle into that lower leg. Stouten this one up at the ground as well to compete in this class. The one that comes out here next, one that I think has a bolder forerib than the one that comes out ahead of it, is more. This one's more opened up in its upper hip. One that balances really nice from the side. Another one that just runs out of steam. Gets a little lower about that neck set there. If we can get those structural issues fixed, I think we can have a little more competitive time here. The weather to round off this class ends up just running out of too much steam. I need more lamb here and more heavy muscled to be able to compete with the ones ahead of it. Let's give them all a big round of applause as we get this natural drive in here.
Okay, results of Class 18 Natural Color. First place went to Addie Cortez, a bad company. Second place went to Wyatt Medaya, Red Top Wranglers. Congratulations. And coming in the ring, we've got Class 19 Natural Colors.
I think this super dark one that will start this class off is just really, really cool. And if you get your chance to get your hands on this one, this is super thin hide, really good high quality on this one. Allows me to tell that this one is super ripped up, has a ton of muscle and back shape on this one, massive in his upper hip, pushes a ton of muscle into his lower leg, and the young lady does an outstanding job getting this one propped up from the side, making him look like a superstar out here. The weather that comes out here next most closely resembles the muscle pattern that I'm looking for out here. Big and creasy top, one that's big in his upper hip, is smooth in his transition from his rack into its loin, one that I think has a ton of shape in terms of its lower leg shape, that outer stifle as well, one that I just need to fix from a structure standpoint, one that I want to souten up at the ground, give it a little more foot and bone, get this one just a little square as you get out through its dock, let it move just a little more comfortably. Now that is where the advantage comes from the one here in third. I can call this one athletic, watching this one get around the ring out here a couple different times. But I think this one's stout featured, has a ton of rib shape. I just need this one to handle just a little bit harder. And when you get off to this 3/4 view, I need to have a shot more power and turn to that one stifle, open it up in its pins just a little more to compete with the two heavier muscled ones ahead of it in class. The young lady's ewe-lamb that comes out, ton of center body, lower rib shape on this one that actually has some turn to her stifle, one that just handles too soft for me today, wants to get a little too wasty about her chest floor, too round about her hip to be able to compete any higher. Same sort of story for the weather that comes out here in fifth, one that wants to get more closed up about its forerib than the one that comes ahead of it. I think it's got some lower rib shape. I think its upper hip is nice. It has some muscle to it. We just got to rearrange this one's skeleton, get this one square out through its dock, pick this one up in its chest floor. The weather that rounds off this class actually holds the advantage in structural integrity compared to the one that is ahead of it here. We just don't have enough sheep here today. I need this one heavier muscle to be able to keep heat more in class today. Let's give them all a big round of applause.
All right, so results of Class 19, Natural Colors. First place goes to Lydia Thornton, Valley View 4-H. Second place goes to Emma Cooper, Valley View 4-H. Congratulations. Now on to Class 20, which will be the Natural Colored Division runoff.
Well, I got a soft spot in my heart for these natural colors. I think they're super fun to show, and I think a really good natural is a really, really good sheep. They're just one of the most unique ones that ever stepped foot in a show ring for a show lamb, and so I always have a ton of fun sorting them. I think we got a really, really nice set out here. I won't take up much more time going through them, but let's give them all a big round of applause as I go find your Grand and Reserve Naturals.
Okay, so natural color division runoff champion went to Addie Cortez, Bad Company. Reserve went to Lydia Thornton, Valley View 4-H. Congratulations. So now we're on to class 21. We have just one class of Suffolks, so this will also be the Suffolk division runoff.
A nice class of Suffolks we got out here, and the one that will start this class, I think this one's the most genuine about its back shape, the widest, most dimensional one here. The widest, most dimensional one here offers the most amount of pounds of product on the skeleton. A really nice one to start off this class. Now, the one that comes out here in second, I think this one is a very production-oriented one. Is very efficient in the use of its skeleton. One that's the most genuine in terms of its breed standard, breed feature there. One that I just need to shape it up over top side of its skeleton. It gets a little too round about its rib shape, a little too round about its hip and its muscle pattern to compete with the ULAM that wins this class, but size and genuine product that's there, this one does a really, really good job at that. Now, the one that comes out here rounds off this class, I think this one's flexible off either end of its skeleton, gets around the ring very easily. This just runs into a class that it ends up being the smallest one, the lightest muscled one in class. We just got to heavy this one up, be able to compete with the two ahead of it. Let's give them all a big round of applause for our Suffolk Drive.
Okay, so for the Suffolk division runoff, first place went to Aubrey Sutherland, Meridian FFA. Second place went to Emma Cooper.
A pretty interesting class. I think we got a lot of different types and kinds out here. And my class winners, not necessarily to look from the side that I've been picking all day. I think this one is absolutely wild and a very unique specimen in terms of muscle and power. One that's super thin-hided, extremely crispy to the touch. One that I think is really, really cool from a muscle standpoint. On a white-faced sheep, you don't get muscle texture and pattern like that without really, really good genetics behind that one. A really, really cool sheep, and the young lady does a great job getting this one propped up good enough for me from the side to be able to go ahead and use that one to win this class. The one that comes out here next, this is more my speed from the side. One that's smoother in its transition from its neck into its shoulder. One that just gets a shot longer spine, a little bit longer cannon as that front end extension is more exaggerated on this one that comes out here next. We just don't handle as hard as the one that comes out. The hide is a little thicker, and I know we're in a white face class, and it's a hard thing to be able to talk about as a thin-hided one in first and having to criticize the one in second for being just a little thicker-hided because he does still handle hard, just not as hard as the one that wins this class. A really, really cool one there in second as well. Just gets put behind a really, really wild featured one. The one that comes out here next kind of follows that type and design of the one that comes out in second. Balance from the side, dead level about its spine. Just comes in a little more common package, a little more nondescript in its muscle shape, a little rounder off the end of its hip there, not as stout at the ground. I'd love to see this one with a shot more foot and bone on it. You make this one just a little smoother in that shoulder transition from its shoulder into its rib shape there, but a really, really nice one that comes out there in third. Fourth place one, super square and wide back. I like the handle. This one meets my hand with a lot of spread and dimension. One that I think just gets a little too straight off either end of its skeleton. One that gets straighter about its blade, pushes that chest floor down a little bit, wants to round off his hip and gets too straight about its hock as it doesn't get around the ring as efficiently as the ones that come out ahead of it there. The ewe-lamb that'll round off his top five, one that I think gives you a very, very nice look from the side. Dead level about her spine. Young man gets that one up and out. Love the way this one's neck transitions into its shoulder. We're just handling way too soft for me today. Got to freshen this one up, make this one more descriptive in its muscle pattern, drop this one in its pants just a little bit more, add some of that lower leg shape there. Ones that come out here next, ones that just end up running out of steam for me today, ones that want to get a little too narrow about their foreribs there, a little not enough power when you get right in behind them, but still some really nice productive sheep. Let's give them all a big round of applause as they walk out of here.
Okay, results of Class 22 Whiteface Cross. First place went to Onina Carson, Valley View 4-H. Second place went to Olive Carlson, Cowpokes 4-H Club. Now coming in the ring, we have Class 23 Whiteface Cross, 132 to 160.
I promise I won't take as long to talk these as I just did to sort them there, but I think this is the hardest decision of the day, and it's not even close in my mind, because I think there's big trade-offs between the two of them. I think no matter how you sort it, I think there's someone that's going to disagree with you. I think you should have done it the other way. And so this is the way I can explain it, the way I think it needs to go today. I think the darker featured one that comes out here to win this class, I think this one is more elite in the way this one's shoulder is laid into it, one that's more tucked up about its chest floor here. I think this one is more shapely over the top side of its skeleton. It's squarer about the top side of that rack shape there. I think this one is better in the way this one gets the most amount of flex from the side out of its hock and its pastern as it gets across the ring. I'm always a sucker for big fuzzy legs on this one as well. The thing I wish I could change about this one, I want to open him up in his upper hip shape. I want this one to track naturally wider as he goes away from me here. I also want to lengthen out his neck just a shot more as we're getting just a little shorter in that neck in that neck length there. But if those are the little things I'm going to nitpick on, I think this is a very, very solid weather that puts together a really, really pretty picture from the side and handles good enough for me. I just need to open up that rear end just a little more. Now that's where the decision was being made for me out here today. I think this one's upper hip out here in second is absolutely massive when you compare it to the one that's out there ahead of it. I think this one offers the most amount of muscle, the deepest into its lower leg there. I think this one, again, one that's stout at the ground. I wish we were just a little bigger when you compare it to the Super Fuzz that we got up there. That's one of those bells and whistles that I've been mentioning on all day. I like that extra fuzz. I like it, make it look stouter featured there. This one also wants to get just a little longer about its blade, pushes deeper about its chest floor. When you get that square shot on, this one wants to get just a little wastier right at the base of his chest as that breastbone wants to stick out just a little more than the one that comes out and wins this class. From the side, though, this one balances better about its underline, fills out that flank more evenly. I think that's because this one is just a little overdue for me today, just a little rounder about its muscle shape, a little softer in its handle than the one that wins this class, but two very, very good, very, very elite weathers that come out of this class out here. Let's give them both a round of applause for bringing out two outstanding weathers. As we get down further in this class, the ewe-lamb that comes out next ends up becoming the one that has the best handle on it. I think this one's super hard back, super bold in its rib shape. I just got to fix this one's balance as you get back to its hip. Wants to narrow up just a little more from the hooks to the pins there. We got to open that up to be a little more competitive out here. The weather that comes out next, super square over the top side of this one's skeleton. I like the balance you get from the side. You get off that three-quarter view. There's not enough sheep there for me today. Same story. The one that comes out here next here, super wide and dimensional, the top side of its skeleton. You talk about that lower muscle shape that I've been trying to find all day. This one doesn't quite have it there. I need more muscle into its lower leg. I need this one to balance up better from the side as we're getting too wasty about its chest floor. And the young man's weather that'll round off this class, extremely productive in its body style and type, one that I just need to have more genuine shape and muscle to be able to compete a little higher. Let's give them all a really big round of applause. A really, really good heavyweight speckle class.
Okay, class 23, white face cross class. First place went to Liam Klaus, CUNA FFA. Second place,
Jovi Bedmeyer.
Jovi Bedmeyer, Homedale FFA. Congratulations. So now we're on to class 24, white face cross division runoff.
And now say
Okay, and then just as a reminder, the final drive for Grand and Reserve Champion will be tonight at 6:30, right here.
Well, we'll keep this last group pretty tight and simple here. I think there's two of them. They came out together. I talked them for a long time. I sorted them for a long time. We're going to keep them together for Grand and Reserve in your Speckle division.
Okay, so white face cross division runoff champion was Liam Klaus. Reserve
So much.
reserve was
Jovi Bredmeyer.
Jovi Bredmeyer. Congratulations. Okay, so we also like to thank our judge, Nate Scoville. So thank you very much for being our judge today.
And make sure to turn in your no self.
And make sure you turn in your no sale forms. See you back here at 6:30.